I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about when you have multiple breakups.
It can be rough. Before we get into it, I did want to say that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. So if you would like to talk about your specific situation with us, you can head to our website and book a coaching session there.
Absolutely, we'll be happy to help you out. Many of you are in a situation where you've been with somebody for a while and you had some small breakups along the way. Now you're in this one that feels permanent. Okay, and this is going to happen if something was going on that one person or both people weren't happy and the issues weren't getting addressed or repaired. Okay, you always have to consider that if things aren't being repaired, it's going to fall apart. It's not going to strengthen, it's going to weaken, and then eventually to a place where somebody's like, I can't do this anymore.
And this is actually fairly common. There are plenty of relationships that have gone through multiple breakups and have actually ended up succeeding and being long-lasting relationships. So it just depends on the situation, but it can be frustrated when you feel like, man, this is our second or third breakup. Is this going to come back around again? I think that they're serious this time. I think there are elements that are different about this breakup that make it a lot more concerning to me.
Yeah, and this may be stating the obvious, but the breakup isn't really the problem. It's the issues that led to the breakup that are really the problem, okay? So if you are in a situation where you're not communicating well, you're not meeting each other's needs, you're not having empathy and trying to understand each other, there's going to be a lot of fights and arguments, and people are going to become unhappy. The more insecure behaviors that are coming out, the more likely you're going to have fights, arguments, misunderstandings, and breakups along the way. So, we got an email coaching that's going to show a lot of little things that are going on that are unhealthy that lead to these breakups. Okay, so we have a woman in her mid-30s with a guy in his late 20s, and it seems like they've been together for several years here. So the problem started in the beginning. She says, in the beginning, I lied to him about my past. Now, when the past comes up, we obviously don't really want to be forthcoming about everything right away because you don't really know somebody or trust somebody. But instead of lying about it, you might want to say, well, let's talk about things like that when we get to know each other better.
Right. Yep, and with lying, it's one of those things that the longer you wait, the worse it gets. Yep. You know, you think you're avoiding it and that you're in the clear and you're getting that positive reinforcement because your partner's not angry with you and they're staying. But the longer you wait, the worse you are making it for yourself. So I understand where she's coming from. It sounded like there was things that she wanted to hide and shield from him, but it's not fair to him.
Yep. She says, 5 months later, I came clean. It's been hard for him to trust me since. And if you're being objective, you could totally understand why he would have a hard time trusting. So now you have this thing that's exciting and you're so enthusiastic about it and hopeful and optimistic, and all of a sudden you realize there's some kind of lie here that is impacting you so much that now you don't trust them anymore.
Right, and she allowed him to believe something different for 5 months. So he built up in his mind who she was for all of this time, you know, without any real substance there until she revealed that information. So I could see how that would really, you know, change his view of her, I'm sure for the lie itself, but also for, you know, whatever she had told him.
Yep.
So
those things really do add up. She said, we lived together the whole time. He has one child who I was very invested with, and we have a couple of pets together. I broke his trust and was jealous and insecure up until about a year ago. Now, it seems to me they've been together for like maybe around 3 years or so. And so, you know, if she's jealous and insecure for years, somebody's going to get tired. They're going to be worn down. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, not this again. I can't believe it. We argued about this last week and the week before. He'd always tell me I need to change. Boy, how many of us ignore our partners when they say that? We think they're just going to stay. They're just going to tolerate it. People do this all the time. So when your partner tells you you need to change, you got to listen. We would get into small arguments, and then he would end it with me. So here we have it. Sounds like a pattern. I don't know who's starting what, how it's starting here, but clearly it's happening often enough that it's leading to multiple breakups. But we'd always come back together. We had really good memories together. In December of 2023, he ended it with me again. It was a good goodbye. We started talking again a few weeks later. Back to their patterns again. We weren't back together, but we were doing things a couple would do. I went on trips with him and his child up until March of this year. I was annoyed that I had to initiate things, so I told him that I want him to start initiating. Days later, he passed a test for his job. I was excited. I naturally said, let's celebrate. He said, I thought I would let him initiate, but we met up for drinks. So now she's sensitive about who's initiating. She's probably feeling like he's going to leave. And so she's anxious about all this stuff. We were having a good time until I asked about his coworkers. Uh-oh. What happened? It turned into an argument and he ended it with me. This was the end of March. He blocked me on everything right away.
Wow.
And I kept reaching out.
And this is hard for the child too, because the child has now built a connection with that partner. For this to be severed that abruptly, I'm sure is affecting that child.
Yep, it's not easy. A few weeks later, we started talking again, even being intimate. Then, in the middle of April, he ended it again. How many breakups is this? I don't even know at this point. I was blocked, so I could only email him. He had my location in the past, and it would help him. So I would email him if I was going somewhere. He even said thank you. He was even leaving for a trip in early May, so I asked if he could leave fanny packs that I was going to customize for him and his child on the porch. I sat in a parking lot to make them. I didn't want him to think I was stalking him. I turned my location off. 10 minutes later, he pulls up asking what I was doing. We caught up and I said goodbye. He went on his trip and we started texting. He was telling me he missed me, how I'm his person, I'm his home. He wanted a fresh start, and we listed all the things we needed from each other. Boy, now how many times do you see somebody go on vacation and then they start texting you a lot again until they come back? That happens all the time. He said a friend made him realize his love for me. And his ex-wife told him on this trip that I was so good and she loved me. So the ex-wife loves her.
Others are vouching for her at this point.
He came back and I saw him. All was good, but we did get into a small argument. He said he was doubting us, but maybe he's jet lagged. You know, guys, when your ex is tired, stay away from them, okay? Like, if you suspect that your ex has just worked a long day, maybe they've reached out. We're not telling you to break no contact and reach out. But if you suspect your ex has been tired or not feeling well or something like that, leave them alone. It's not going to go well.
Yep. It's the whole HATS concept. I think we talk about this in another video. When they're hungry, angry, tired, or sick. That's not going to be a great time to start this big, long emotional conversation or try to reignite things.
Yep. The next day, he came home from work to say he slept with a coworker 3 times and they were dating.
So he must have been tired. They slept.
You could see why he was tired. He had to put in a whole 12 minutes.
But if I were her, my blood would be boiling because it sounded like she was concerned about the coworkers before.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes, you picked up on that. And I was getting that feeling that why is he getting so set off by coworkers?
Right.
She suspected it and she was onto something, I think. That she had ended it because she saw my pics of us on my Insta highlights still. Okay, so the new girl sees pics with him and her, and now she leaves this guy.
Wow.
So what do you think he's going to do? This is going to be a typical Jerry Springer moment where he gets mad at her instead of being mad at himself.
Oh, no.
For his own stupidity, right? He said he was upset she ended it and still likes her and hopes he can try again with her. I would have been so mad.
And to end a relationship over finding pictures on social media of him and his ex-girlfriend that he just recently ended the relationship with, it's something to consider.
Yeah.
Is that really a deal breaker for some? I mean, I think the bigger deal breaker here is that he had just gotten out of a relationship, if anything, more so than the pictures.
He probably had been dishonest about stuff, and so she was doing some investigating, found out, wait, this girl's still in the picture, or just recently in the picture. He hasn't been honest, and now she was mad.
Right. And who knows how honest he is about that reason, too.
Oh, I don't think he's honest about much.
Yeah. At this point, it puts everything into question.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as to why he told her about the coworker to begin with.
He was so mad at her, he didn't even care. He didn't even care if he was hurting her. He was so mad, he was excited about the new girl, and he just wanted to vent and just take it out on her. I'm dating somebody else now, and you ruined it. She just broke it off with me. Well, had you told her about it, then maybe... and stopped using her or taking advantage of her, then this wouldn't have happened to you. So he did it to himself.
Yeah.
I was in shock and devastated at how quickly he switched it up. Yeah, that's always a shock.
Yeah.
We said bye later that day. I asked about getting my dog, and he said to leave him alone for 2 months, and he'll reach out to me.
Okay.
I always like it when people give you this time restraint.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get back together in 6 months.
It's always 6 months.
Yeah, right?
It's always 6 months.
6 months.
Contact me again in 6 months.
We'll see how it goes. Would you mind just putting your life on hold for 6 months? Maybe we'll get
I'll
back
just go
together.
ahead and cross off the calendar the next... I'll just rip out the pages.
Exactly. Wake me up in December. Is that a Taylor Swift song?
We find it to be ridiculous because what you're asking of someone is basically that, to put their life on hold, to still have hopes and expectations months down the line when we don't know what's going to happen within those 6 months or 2 months or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to go date this other woman, but maybe in 2 months we're going to talk. Stand by the phone.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing here. And I'm having a problem with this guy's behavior all along the way here. Okay? All right. I was emailing him after to ask if I need to be tested. Good
Valid
question. Yeah.
Valid.
About my things still there and getting closure. He told me I didn't have to get tested.
Get tested.
Yeah, you shouldn't even ask. Just do it.
Yeah. And this is something that's really important. A lot of times you have to take your own health into your own hands. Okay? When you're trusting someone else's words, that's very different from seeing lab results. Okay?
And this guy hasn't exactly been trustworthy.
Exactly.
He told me I didn't have to get tested, that he's going to mail all my things and there's no closure. He doesn't care. Look at how selfish he's being here. Now, I don't know how he was as a partner. Maybe he wasn't like this in the relationship, but look at how he's being now. The way he's acting now, it's obviously not treating her with any kindness or respect or thought about her feelings. He just doesn't care at this point.
And I wonder what he's angry at her about. I'm thinking back to that lie from the very beginning, and if maybe we had just filmed a video about justifying our behaviors that impact our partner, I wonder if there's some justification on his end of, well, she lied to me.
That's a good point.
And I have the right to do this, or, this makes my situation less bad because I also see her flaws. So I wonder really what's going on in his mind throughout this entire process. And it seemed like there is some levels of denial there with him getting upset at this girl for ending the relationship, just that switch around, and also seeing how quickly he was to anger with her.
So. He's not showing any real concern about her feelings. He's not treating her like somebody he cared about, like if you don't want to be with somebody, you don't have to be this mean or cold or disrespectful,
right?
Especially it doesn't seem like she's done anything to warrant any of that frustrating or angry behavior,
right? And it's not sounding like he can handle a mature adult conversation here. It just seems like a lot of either dismissing things or, redirecting things or getting angry at her. And so I'm not really sure where this is going.
Well, let's see. I can tell you where I feel it's going. He mentioned I ruined it for him and this girl.
Whoa.
Yeah, see, he's mad because he didn't care about her. He was going to discard her and thought he found somebody else that he wanted to be with. Other woman finds out, breaks it off with him, and now he's mad. Instead of acting like an adult and saying, well, I did this to myself, he's just angry, and so he's acting immaturely and blaming her for this. Then said he was trying it with her. His last email said, he was with her now, and I need to respect that. That he got a new email, so I can't contact him anymore. Yesterday, I went out with my friend for drinks. He has my location, which I don't care about because I want him to see where I am so he can wonder. All of a sudden, I see him walk by with his child. I called him over, gave him a necklace he gave me, and focused my attention on his child until they said goodbye. From the shops he went to, there was no reason for him to walk all the way around to where we were. Okay, so she actually screenshotted a picture of the parking lot and the details of like the little mall area, basically trying to say there was no reason to be where he was. He walked all the way around this certain area where there was no stores he would go to, just to go buy her car. In other words, he had the location on and he was going to see where she was at.
That's a little bit concerning.
Sure.
For him to go through all those hoops to see her.
Especially when he's like saying, I don't want to talk to you. I'm changing my email. I'm with this other woman now. But this is what I tell you guys. Your exes care even though they're acting like they don't. Right? All right. I've gone shopping with them there many times and we've never done that. So it makes me believe he saw where I was and was curious as to who I was with. And I absolutely thought so too. She says, this I don't understand. From my point of view, he seems confused on what he wants. That he had two choices and instead of healing and working on himself, which he really needs, he jumped into another relationship. He painted me as the crazy ex to everyone, and as much as I want to message this girl on what he just did and said to me, I know I probably shouldn't. Yeah, well, I mean, if you do, he's just going to blow up at you again and say, I told you I was with her, and now you ruined it for me a second time. It's not going to help. Do you think this new relationship will last? No, I don't think so either. If he really cared about this new relationship, why would he be stalking you?
Right.
And getting his kid involved too. Come help me stalk. Why was he so concerned about what I was doing when he was doing things too? How can he think?
That might be why he was so concerned, is when we do certain things in a relationship, we realize what we're capable of, and that makes us realize what our partner is capable of too. So, I mean, it sounds like he might have had some shady behavior that he was involved with, and he might be concerned, okay, well, what is my partner doing? What are they up to? That anxiety is high, and when we're going through a breakup, especially multiple breakups, this is not your first rodeo here, things are heightened. everything seems 10 times more dramatized, and it can really suck you in. You feel like you're in this state of alert constantly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he's concerned about where she is, what she's doing.
He's anxious, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going to happen next. And it keeps him on edge.
You see, this is what we tell you guys. Even though your ex has moved on to other people, they're still thinking about you. Here we have a perfect example. This guy even brought his child to come stalk her with him, right? And so it's confusing. Now, we don't know how this guy was in the relationship. We know they were on again, off again. But, you know, we also heard that he had kept asking her, the emailer, to change. So we don't know if she had a lot of bad behavior that was causing him to say, I can't do this anymore. We don't know if he had bad behavior too, that, you know, he was sneaky or shady or something like that.
Right.
All we can see is what we have in front of us.
Right, and she was pretty vague about her own lie and also
Yes,
what
it was
she
very
needed to change. So I would challenge her too. Okay, what exactly is his narrative? Is there any validity to that? You know, are there any patterns that you notice in your own behavior that he might be seeing too? So these are all challenging questions for yourself to think about. But these are also valid questions what you're asking here. Why was he worried about it? And this next one being, how can he switch up on me so fast? You know, when we go through multiple breakups, you know, this really tests us. It's like poking the bear. You poke the bear once, maybe they can handle it. Maybe they turn around, maybe they growl. You poke the bear twice, you get a bigger reaction. You poke the bear 3 times, have an even greater reaction. So at this point, it sounds like he's already reaching his limit. Like, I've tried to tell you these things so many times. They're not getting through. You're not hearing. Even after multiple breakups, not much is changing. So for him, I think his story is very different than what you realize.
Yeah. So, listen, at this point, you got to leave him alone. And if he comes back, you need to make sure he's acting like an adult and not going to be sneaky and talking to all these other people. You know, you want it to be that he wants to repair things with you. I would take my time with this guy in particular, because this guy really feels like he isn't really into this relationship anymore, and he's gonna keep talking to other women as long as he can, unless he's really, really invested and really says, I do love you, I do really want to make this work, you've been with me for a long time, you've been a great stepmom type figure to my kid, and wants to really act like an adult here. But he's shown a lot of really immature, selfish behavior here around the breakup. We don't know what it was like in the relationship.
Yeah.
But until he switches it up and really shows that he cares about you with his actions and his words, I wouldn't trust this guy.
Right. And remember that a breakup is a wound. And so it can go one of 2 ways. Either that wound repairs and that scar tissue toughens up the skin, you have an even stronger relationship, or the wound gets infected, it gets worse. Now there's, more hurt and pain that happens in the relationship, and it ends up leading to another breakup, which we often say is a worst case scenario of getting your ex back. A lot of times it's not a matter of if you get your ex back or not, it's if you can maintain that relationship, if you can repair, because there's no use in getting an ex back if it's not repairing the original relationship.
Yeah, because it's just going to lead to more breakups, as you could see in this situation where I don't even know how many breakups we were dealing with here. They just kept coming on. They were so casual.
Yeah.
Oh, we had all these breakups, and then we kept fighting and breaking up. Okay, how many times? 10? I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt like there was probably about 10 breakups here.
Yeah, and breakups are serious. It can be something that a couple either bonds on and grows stronger through, or it can be something that is a very sensitive and sore point.
Yeah,
so
for
it
sure.
Sounds like that might be more of the case for them. It sounds like he has become more and more resentful with each and every breakup.
Yeah. So leave it be. See what he does. I would turn your location off, though.
Yeah.
I would not leave that on anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially in this situation and him stalking and whatnot. So clearly he is stalking, even if he is going to deny it.
Right.
But I saw the diagram. I remember reading the email coaching, and it certainly felt, it was like, whoa, this is purposeful.
Yeah. And right now, like I had said before, all emotions are intensified, are heightened. both of you are hyper aware of your surroundings and in an anxious state. I think the healthiest thing as of right now is to ground. You can't make any clear decisions when you're in this heightened state. You only make rash decisions to protect yourself, things that all happen out of panic. Healthiest thing is to get back to a calm state, create some space between the two of you so you can think clearly. And remember, there is an innocent person involved here too, the child who is connected to you. It's really not cool that, the child is getting involved in the stalking and in this relationship, almost used as a pawn between the two of you. So really please be aware of how you're affecting everybody in this.
Yep. Yeah, a lot to think about for this situation. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.